Oklahoma's current political leadership is cutting down tomorrow's forests to pay for today. Like farmers eating their seed corn, state and federal leaders have prioritized tax cuts over education, healthcare, and nutrition. The result is not the prosperity that was promised. It is shorter lives, lower family incomes, slower growth, and fewer resources for our children and grandchildren. Look closely at the picture. A politician is planting one thin pine sapling in the middle of the prairie. It makes a good photograph. It may even provide a convenient campaign talking point. But one lonely sapling does not make a forest. That picture captures much of what passes for long-term investment under Oklahoma's current political leadership. Our leaders do not invest nothing. They often plant just enough to stand beside for the photograph while continuing to consume the larger inheritance. Teacher raises, scholarships, pilot programs, and one-time appropriations can matter. But they are too small, too temporary, and too scattered to replace the forest being lost. Every generation inherits schools, roads, water systems, universities, career tech campuses, hospitals, and public institutions built by people before us. Our responsibility is not merely to use that inheritance. It is to pass it forward in better condition. A farmer can survive one difficult season by eating the seed corn, but when planting season arrives, the true cost becomes clear. Government can lower taxes today by neglecting schools, limiting access to health care, reducing nutrition assistance, and postponing investments that would help the next generation become healthier and more productive. Politicians receive the applause now. Our children and grandchildren inherit the consequences later. That is not fiscal conservatism. It is consumption disguised as stewardship. Oklahoma has already lived through one version of this experiment. By the time of the 2018 teacher walkout, inflation-adjusted state aid per student had fallen more than 28% below its 2008 level. The teacher raises and funding increases that followed were necessary, but much of that spending represented overdue repair. A family that stops repairing its roof for 10 years does not become generous when it finally patches the leaks. Federal leaders are repeating the same pattern on a much larger scale. Public Law 119-21 reduced projected federal revenues by about $4.5 trillion while cutting direct spending by $1.1 trillion. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the result will be a $3.4 trillion increase in federal deficits over 10 years. The tax benefits arrive now. The debt and the reduced support for health and nutrition arrive later. Oklahoma is especially vulnerable because those federal choices are landing on ground that is already thin. Oklahoma's life expectancy is only 73.8 years. The Commonwealth Fund ranks Oklahoma's health system 49th. When health care and nutrition support are reduced, the cost does not disappear. It shifts to hospitals, schools, charities, working families, and future budgets. The economic promises have not produced the forest we were told to expect. Oklahoma families still earn roughly $15,700 less than the national median household income. Long-term economic growth has lagged the nation. Energy cycles and other forces matter, but our current political leadership has had years to prove that repeatedly prioritizing tax reductions would produce the prosperity it promised. The forest has not appeared. In fact, you can watch it slowly disappear. Meanwhile, the public is shown another sapling. A modest teacher raise is announced while starting salaries remain uncompetitive. A scholarship is expanded while many students cannot afford books, fees, transportation, or the lost work hours required to complete their education. Temporary help arrives for a rural hospital while the larger health system remains fragile. Each sapling may have value. None is large enough to replace the forest being lost. Real fiscal conservatism should protect the productive assets that make future prosperity possible. Strong public schools are economic assets. So are healthy children, affordable universities and career tech programs, skilled workers, functioning rural hospitals, and nutrition programs that keep children from trying to learn on empty stomachs. These are not merely expenses on a budget sheet. They are the seed corn. Our children and grandchildren will not judge us by ribbon cuttings, ceremonial plantings, or carefully staged photographs. They will live with what remains after the cameras are gone. One symbolic sapling cannot conceal a disappearing forest. Planting for the photograph while cutting down everything around it is not stewardship. It is camouflage. Responsible farmers do not eat their seed corn. Responsible leaders do not consume tomorrow to make today look cheaper. They leave more standing than they inherited. Read more at wlangdon.substack.com.